I was 22, I had 2 children already. I was a Mormon military wife with a baby and a toddler. With my husband stationed in Korea, I moved in with my in-laws in Long Beach, where I shared a room and a bed with my kids. Financial dependence be damned, it was a good life. The LBC is a preschooler's paradise. In the afternoon, we'd swim at Mother's Beach, walk Belmont Shores, or eat fish-shaped pizza and pet sharks at the Aquarium of the Pacific. I recently found an old journal entry that said, "Stopping by Trader Joe's on the way home from the aquarium makes me feel like some kind of middle-class lady." What I meant was, I felt legit. Not like the young, scared thing that I was, going through every mom motion I could think of. Ignoring my financial dependence on a man I couldn't trust, I remained at home spending every minute with those babies. I blocked the memory of the last time my husband threw me on the stairs and strangled me. I was fantasizing about being reunited with him, being a family again, and wondering what our next home would be like. I decided I would buy our furniture here in Long Beach and have it shipped to our next destination, because what were the chances we'd be stationed in an IKEA state? Meanwhile, in Korea, my husband's barrack buddies provided him with other throats to squeeze when something pissed him off. He bragged over the phone about his big-time E3 methods for keeping the lower ranks in check. My neck enjoyed the reprieve. His hands became more practiced. A random flyer hanging in Stater Brothers suggested I seize the summer by driving to the Santa Paula Citrus Festival. When me and the kids got there, I found it to be a little dusty, a little trailer trashy, and a lot underwhelming. I, however, was the only mom pulling a glamorous Radio Flyer wagon out of her van for her babies to sit in, a splurge of which I was particularly proud. First thing we did was check out a model train exhibit, because maybe that's something that little boys like. I had to leave my wagon outside. I debated a few seconds whether or not to leave my Winnie the Pooh diaper bag in the wagon, but decided to carry it in with me. We were done with the exhibit 7 minutes later. When we walked back outside, my precious wagon was gone. We were stranded. There was a rent-a-cop standing right there, but when I told him, "Someone stole my wagon," he just made a face like, "Hey, don't look at me." Meanwhile, in Korea, my husband was sticking it to some chick. That was cause for divorce even my Mormon bishop could get behind. But at this time, I still had no clue. Some people might have just gone home, left the festival right then, or maybe walked it, tried to make the most of the day with their baby on hip and toddler in hand. But panic and rage pounded through my veins, and only one single word filled my brain: wagon. It's like getting home from the store without the laundry detergent you just spent your very last $6 on. I couldn't let it go. But tracking down my wagon was unlikely. Immediately, there was a fork in my path. Chances, choices, left, right, where? I wasn't making decisions. I was hunting. With the baby in my arm, toddler in my hand, and bags bouncing left and right off my hips. My adrenaline must have flowed through my fingertips into my older son's hand, because his legs are like a foot long, and we were running. I held to the perimeter, left, 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 survival instinct. I turned onto a path of food vendors, saw my wagon up ahead. I thanked God, because this was a God-thinking period in my life, and who the fuck are those 2 dudes with that little girl in my wagon? I hustled down the path, past nachos, hot dogs, cotton candy, my sights on those 2 fuckers in wife beaters and saggy jeans. I got a little closer and tried to get their attention. "That's my wagon! Stop! That's my wagon!" They took quick looks over their shoulders, and then they looked at each other and giggled. They knew a confrontation was coming, and they weren't stopping for it. "That's my wagon!" They were slowing down, we were speeding up, and soon I had them cornered. I paid $67 for that at Target. We're at a standstill, two trios facing off. Me and my two babies clutched to me, looking at those two tank-topped assholes with the pigtailed daughter that belonged to one of them. They didn't say anything. They just looked at each other and then looked at the ground. I was looking at my wagon and the little girl sitting in it. I didn't understand why my kids weren't sitting in it already. In a rage, I yelled down at those pigtails, "Well, get her out of it!" Her father offered his arms to her, and she crawled up into them. Meanwhile, in Korea, my husband justified cheating on me by imagining I was doing the same. I had gone out with the girls. Both times, my father-in-law watched from the driveway as they picked me up. Me and the girls, we sewed quilts and drank herbal tea. But I wasn't my husband's scorned wife, and I was no longer a daughter being led down a path by her heavenly father. I was the motherfucking superhero who tracked down and recouped my wagon. Not single-handedly, but with babies stuck all over me. Not just that, but how did I run those assholes down with my balls hanging so low? Back at the van, I fastened the boys into their car seats, stuck their sippy cups into the cup holders, packed that sexy $67 wagon up into the trunk, and I left and made it home intact. Shortly after reuniting with my husband and relocating to Fort Riley, Kansas, I found a love letter from a girl wanting to spend the rest of her waking life in bed with my husband. When confronted, he told me about Maria, his best friend in Korea that he accidentally became lovers with. Might have been a cute story, but the letter was signed by Jessica. The stairs he threw me down on the night before were hard wood, and I had a grandma in a neighboring town I could easily flee to. The kids and I moved across the country into a one-bedroom apartment. After the divorce was finalized a year later, a moving van pulled up with all my stuff. Tucked into a box of dishes, I found a sippy cup filled with year-old curdled milk. A final present from my ex. But also in the van, my still packaged IKEA furniture.
Jane motherfucking Sims.